So we have John Holbrook and his green tide list at the Rooks 40K Open. And people are saying that on War Games Live, if you look at the Orc Bat Rec, it was stream game 1. Thanks to Arcane Asylum Live, you get to the channel member, dude. Channel members are super awesome. I see you guys going off in chat right now. But yeah, so if you guys want to go check out that game, check out War Games Live so you can actually see this used in real time. John's a super veteran. He's been in the Worlds. He's played it into like literally world events. He's been invited, won his golden ticket. We've covered him in the past. He did put green tide down for a while. So keep in mind that he is one of the best. So you're looking at these green tide lists and you're like, man, I'm struggling. Don't worry about it. You got to figure out green tide. They do take a little bit of time. They're their own niche. But whenever the meta gets to elite, some crazy gear comes out with the horde and says, let me show you how to get stuck in, lads. And that's our boy John here. So let's look at John Holbrook. I never really got to talk to him directly, but I get to know him and we exchanged information. I don't think he's on those kind of social medias, but what's up to this kid? He goes, yep, go take, assassinate, and call the horde. He always says this when we were like with those those faraway texts. It doesn't even matter. Like we talked about in our green tile videos. Trust me, it doesn't matter when people are trying to take that. So he has Boss Necron, Ghazghkull Thraka, one Pain Boy with Bloodthirsty Belligerents, triple War Bosses, and then a Weird Boy with Brutal Cunning. He took four big 20-man units of Boyz and then a 10-man unit of Boyz. Don't sleep on this 10-man unit of Boyz, right? I haven't played Green Tide in probably about maybe 9 months or so, but I was taking about those 10 boys, maybe less than that, but maybe more like 8 months, but still, either way. I was taking that 10-man unit of Boyz also along them. They still take access to the strats. That first activation, at least over 5 up invuln still. They can grow back if the enemy doesn't finish them off. Totally useful to do that. Then we have double Battlewagons with the Ardcase, 2 units of Pitchin, and then the 1 unit of Mandos. Now, actually, with John's list in the past, he didn't have Ghaz, and he did generally have Mandos, right? And he had Mandos, but he was crazy, and he would bring like 22, right? And at one point, when he had his prior green tide list, he was one of those crazy gets that would actually go over the threshold of how many bodies. So he would bring like 5 20-man units of Boyz, and then he would bring 22 Mandos, and so he would bring like all of the most redundant crazy amount of bodies. So it was interesting that in this case he actually went for 1 unit of Mandos instead, and then Ghaz in there, right? He stuck Ghaz into his list, which is the big crazy part, because it was mentioned on the channel when we looked at this. We were like, people might take, they might take Ghaz, right, in green tide, but now we're actually seeing this, right? Because this is one of the green tide lists we're covering. There was another that also did well, but now we see people taking him in there. Remember, keep in mind that you have access to reroll wounds, so now you got +1 to wound, and in green tide you can reroll wounds. This detachment is very CP intensive, so in this case the Pain Boy having Bloodthirsty Belligerents is something that I've seen quite often. It's interesting because I always hesitate to put it because it's a lot of points, but the stratagems are very, very effective and efficient in this attachment, so you need them. He pretty much always brings them. And then the Weird Boy with Brutal but Cunning, I think a lot of the matchup will kind of determine that, but I do think the 10-man unit could be used with the Weird Boy. But since it has an enhancement, there's a chance that you just stick it with the 20, to be honest, right? Because when you have the enhancement, you're taking advantage of if it contains 10 or more, you get to reroll the charges, you can reroll the advance. I don't see that being necessarily valuable in the 10-man unit as much, but in some matchups where you want to risk that late game, deep backfield charge, you could. So yeah, he had 2 wagons, which was also very unique to his style, because before he used to just put stuff on the line. But I think with just how the meta plays out now, you can't be that open and disrespectful to the enemy, and for the sake of time and your own back, you don't want to bring a whole bunch of bodies like you said before. Because I remember that's the one thing we switched up that we were talking about, was like, so man, your list is crazy, but how do you even play time? How do you finish games in time? And he's like, yeah, that could be an issue sometimes, and not because he can't finish, but like you start making kind of decisions of, okay, I might have just messed up here, because I was just trying to finish and go through this. As for that, let's take a look at what else he had for his matchups, because that's what we want to look at. Boom, here we go. And this was a lot of good. What, 6 rounds? 6 rounds, man. 6 rounds playing the green tide he gets. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh. So let's see. So going into his first matchup, we have the Shadow Legion. Okay. Oh, and one thing I want to say is I do think Ghaz does, not just because John is saying that, but because there could just be an issue where you just didn't really have the damage before on Green Tide, and I think Ghaz is kind of there to solve that problem. Where you the enemy would just chew through you too quickly. I think the wagons are conserving the mobs, and then Ghaz is helping you melt through the problematic units, so you're not just getting buzzsawed through, which happens now. So we have one Be'lakor, one Bloodthirster, a Skullmaster, one Nurgling unit, a Beast of Nurgle, one brick of Blood Crushers, a Fleshhound unit, a Screamer, a Chaos Lord with Jump Pack, a Chaos Terminator, one unit of Cultist, a unit of Havocs, and a War Dog Huntsman. So a bunch of hodgepodge of what they put together. CSM is just kind of odd like that where they're at right now. Not that I think they're horrible or anything. I just think they're very niche in how they're trying to figure their stuff out, because there's a lot going on. So as for, let's go into this next second game. There's a lot going on. Like I feel like they took a lot of their rules and either nerfed them or just put them for other factions. So no shade on the CSM, because they can still make stuff work, but it's interesting. Then we have his second matchup, which is into the World Eaters. So this is a Demon Prince of Khorne, the favorite of Khorne, Lord on Juggernaut, Slaughterbound. 2 of the 5-man units of Terminators, 1 big brick of 8-bound, double small-man units of Exalted 8-bound, double Forge Fiends, Hellbrute, Jackals, and then Mauler Fiends. So as long as you're not letting your boy mobs just get mobbed up and blasted away from those Forge Fiends, and you stage up, because they really can't do anything to your wagons other than try to run up and pop them with the 8-bound themselves, which give you options for like getting heroics and boys quicker up the field with heroics as well. At that point, it's not the issue that they're going to shoot your wagon, blow it up, and then charge it and then kill it. It's far more likely that they're just going to try to chip away your units. The 8-bound Exalted 8-bound with their changes can pop a wagon. It's not even that reliable. There's a chance that they're going to have to pop additional AP in there too to make sure they get it off. So they're going to have the CP investment, and then you're going to get just good exchanges on them. And then he had a 100-point W on that. I think that they're just really elite. And in that matchup, not that World Eaters can't win, because World Eaters can totally win that matchup. It's just things would get kind of hectic, right? If you're trying to can you just imagine these elite big bricks trying to run up into the orcs, and it's just like, oh, sorry guys, and shoot up. Bad trades. So then we go into his third matchup. Love the Strange Green Tide making a comeback though. Pretty exciting. Third matchup, it is again the 8-bound. I'm not the 8-bound, sorry. I meant World Eaters. I don't know why I said 8-bound. Then we have Karn, and then a Slaughterbound. Then we come into a big unit of Khorne Zerkers, a 10-man unit, and a Rhino, double unit of Chaos Bond, double unit of regular 8-bound, a small unit of Exalted 8-bound with a large unit of Exalted 8-bound, 1 Forge Fiend, 1 Goremonger, a Hellbrute, double Jackals, and then a Mauler Fiend. So this one, little bit more volume, at least from the Khorne Zerker unit and Karn the Betrayer. First-hand experience, there is a chance that with enough stack buffs from Sustain and then Karn with the rerolls, that this unit could really put a really big hurting on a unit of boys themselves. Chaos Spawn being able to run up on boys and touch them or just get in their way because of the Scout Advance charge. Goremongers being able to infiltrate. Now, not that they're just going to be easily just be able to pick the units up, but it does allow them to play the midfield a little bit more, which depending on the mission would be kind of interesting. Here it was a 71-point win. So I really like to know what that mission was that made it different in that case, or if the World League player was just a little bit more wise and just had more volume of punching. So cool to see there with that one, with another win there. But here we go into the 4th round, which is his loss, which I think people are saying was on War Games Live if you want to go look at it itself. But this was into the fire. Okay, and I can see I've held the others. We have Salamanders, Firestorm Assault. We have Adrex Agatone, a Judiciar with Champion of Humanity, a Lieutenant with Phobos, then with Combi, and then Vulcan Heastan. We have an Impulsor, 2 big units of Blade Guard, and triple Eradicator squads. 1 small unit of Infernus, 1 Invader, 1 Land Raider Redeemer, a Repulsor Executioner, and then a Scout. So I'd like to see this game. I didn't know this was on War Games Live, so oops for me. But I can go back and watch that. So I'd like to see what happened with this one and the mission and such, what was going on. But as for Ironstorm Assault, they're one of those factions that, you know, those few Space Marines that are like, we'll meet you up in the middle and bang it out with you. And then they do have the combined arms factor. Those Blade Guard are actually punching up because of the character and the veteran and the this enhancement for Champion of Humanity. They have access to strats that make them +1 to wound, I believe, as well. So they can actually put some good punches on the orc. Good combined arms between his tanks and then the flamers from the Redeemers. Nasty Overwatch in that case. So you can't really disrespect this army too much with staging up with everything. And I would just really like, I'm going to have to just go give this game a watch to see what's going on there myself personally. And you should too. Love to see it. You know, love to see him still get to do well, but love to see the Green Tide. So I have a good time watching that. It's just Green Tide is a hard army to land. We'll just say that, guys, right? So if he's not making full contact with the enemy early, not when it's that go turn or get caught in fights in the open, not on primary objectives necessarily, you know, there's a chance that the Commanders were meeting them in the middle and banging it out. So that's pretty interesting. And then we go chat's saying some of the things. All right, that's good. Yeah, I think it's worth watching. That's a good way to kind of digest how this might go wrong if you play the style list. Then we go into his second to last matchup, which was into the Necrons. He had a Qatar, the Foy Dragon, Luminar Zeras, Orkan the Diviner, Hexmark Destroyer, Royal Wardens, and double score Peck Lords, one big 20-man unit of warriors, a Crypto Thrall, a Flayed One, Ophidian Destroyers, double score Peck Destroyer, triple score Peck Destroyers is 3-mans, a Locust Destroyer, a Reanimator, a Doomsday Ark, and a Ghost. The interesting thing is the Warden and the 20-man unit, it at least lets you know that they can actually fall back and shoot, which is typically like the easiest, you know, biggest hole to exploit with Necrons if they are playing that kind of elite hyper way to play. But I think the rest of the units supporting this Necron, that one Necron unit that's problematic, aren't problematic enough for the orc. Between like the volume of activations, the OC, the durability, all those units are going to get blended out. The unit's going to regen. The unit's going to tank a lot of the damage. Anything that's not itself re-rolling wounds is now near Ghaz, and Ghaz is going to have lethal. You know, it's just they're going to be able to chew through a lot of that stuff. It's going to be great. So 96-point win there. Love to see that whenever going into Necrons. Love when orcs beat up on Necrons. And then we go into his last matchup. Sorry, his absolute last matchup. So he's saying World Eaters again. So in the stats and the facts, guys, when I looked at like how many players we had, orc players had like 202 players last weekend. World Eaters had like 360, almost double. So if you're looking at this and you're like, man, you played a World Eaters a lot. World Eaters are everywhere. Orcs are a pretty decent, moderately respectable, popular army with a very consistent, you know, right around World Eaters with player representation. I think good 200. World Eaters are pushing into the 400 everywhere. So be ready to crump those guys. So we have a Crimson Tide here, Karn, Lord of Akado, Master, and Executioner, and the Slaughterbound. He had a big 20-man unit of Cornzerkers. Boy! That can blend up a 20-man unit of boys if it can get a hold of it first. 2 units of Chaos Spawns of the 2 very good units, Exalted, and double Forge Fiends, some double Goremongers, triple Hellbrute, and then Jackals. Do like the Hellbrutes. So Hellbrutes have like those continuous fights where they fight you, you hit them back, they fight again. If someone's dead, then they can pile in and keep going with momentum. Goremongers for the infiltration, kind of help him actually be able to get off on you first with all these Chaos Spawn. But if they misplay, in my opinion, what can kind of happen too right here with these, because he won 88.1 with these World Eaters kind of matchups, is they're used to being hyper aggressive and kind of just taking that mid space, maybe with their Goremongers and, you know, their Chaos Spawn. If you can allow Green Tide to leapfrog into the mid table by killing some of these units, setting up their screens so that you're following actual punchy problematic units can't make contact with their big meaty mobs, and you're just stuck punching wagons and stuff like that, or Mandos, well then you run out, take your chunk of flesh, and then you'll be followed up with getting hit with all the boys making contact, fighting you on objectives, completely destroying your primary, withstanding all of your fight backs, and then you're just stuck with those World Eater players stuck in the melee. And that's kind of what looks like happened here again with the 88-point win there. John Holbrook getting into those World Eaters for the final time, running through them. So let's take a look at his Green Tide list for last thoughts. We have one boss, Nikrat, because we need a little get to do them activations. You can see everything here is quite expensive, in my opinion, and a lot of the time, the rest of the units that aren't, you know, that you would be considered kind of like trash or transport, whatever, are also being used to stop the Green Tide big effective units from getting killed. So it's not like you can necessarily throw all of your more trash units away early, because because then you just have nothing to score. So reserving your Snick Rat to actually stay alive is not like not putting him in reserve. I mean, just keeping him alive is very, very important in my opinion in this list. One Ghazghkull, then a Pain Boy, War Boss, double War Bosses there, and then Weird Boy. You know what else is pretty cool in my opinion? The triple War Boss. So one War Boss on each big mob unit was like the fundamental key thing, and you're like, these are the only units that really do damage. Now that you have Ghaz leading one of those units, bro, that means you have 3 of them that are just War Bosses, and then you have Ghaz's unit also on the field that are just with these big units. Oh, that's so sick to see, because then it's just like, well, the unit that doesn't have a Weird Boy, I could still use a strat to regen him, like if a Weird Boy was there, but ultimately I'm hitting you harder. So he dropped out all of, not all, but some of the Pain Boys, because Pain Boys are expensive. There's 75 points for a Pain Boy right now. He took out the Pain Boys and just paid for more War Bosses, paid for more Ghaz. So in my opinion, it looks like one, he paid for the ability to keep the boys safe by paying for wagons now, and he paid for more killing power and just loaded down on the body. He brought, let's see, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 20-man bricks of boys and then a 10-man unit. So it could be a Weird Boy and a War Boss are one of the units. That way they can like re-roll the advance and then re-roll the charge, so they can have a more effective unit. So even though I do think that there's a chance that the unit was also able to run around and jump depending on matchup and attempt longer charges because of strats, you can buff the charge. Totally possible too, but possible that he just put him in the Weird Boy with the War Boss unit, so it's diverse in other matchups where I can still move this unit quicker up the field. If not, then the 10-man unit of boys can go with the Weird Boy. But in my case, in my opinion, right, and he also has 2 units of Grots. Need to screen your backfield, but if you check out the games, also on War Games, I'm sure he used one of these units to screen, their matchups. And then the Mandos, because you need to control infiltration as an orc. Don't sleep on having Mandos. If you're really not into paying for Mandos, fine, you can pay for a Snick Rat, but you need to play the infiltration game. All right. So with that being said, shout out to John Holbrook. Love this get. Great job with the Green Tide. Ooh, man, whenever I see that kind of stuff with like just random lists, or like one more shout out to his honorable mentions list, look at that. Come on, man. Where are you guys going to see that anywhere else? Everybody's going to make you think you can only play Warhorde, though the majority of you are playing Warhorde and will continue to, and it will continue to do best. Totally possible to play other detachments and still have very effective, fun games and come out winning and be considered competitive, quote unquote, right? So, somewhere around the meta, I'm sure there's people that are saying Warhorde's the only real competitive version of orcs. I would say it's the most linear and consistent way and competitive way to play orcs because of the sheer value in the, stratagems. But I wouldn't say by any means it's the only way to win games and be effective with orcs. So take a look at this, start getting creative, you get, because you can put Ghaz wherever you want. And ultimately, shout out to that Cult of Speed list, because even though it didn't have Ghaz, it had Kill Rig. So he was still getting stuck in. So if you guys want to know, rewatch gang, let me know. Another thing to check out is our sponsor, the Baron of Dice. They make high quality custom dice. If you enjoy our content and want to show some love, check out the Baron of Dice custom dice, including Wall Tactics official dice. To support us, use our discount code in the description for 5% off, because nobody likes taxes. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!